Hello and welcome. Whether you're building a new app, launching a big marketing campaign, or hey, even just planning a wedding, you're managing a project. But have you ever wondered how the pros turn these massive, complex ideas into a reality, on time and on budget? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today, using the globally recognized playbook for project success. So let's dive right in.
But before we get into all the nuts and bolts, we really have to start with the most basic question of all. We throw the word project around all the time, right? But what does it actually mean in a professional sense? What's the thing that separates a real project from just, well, your day-to-day work?
The official definition is actually pretty simple, and it all boils down to two key words: temporary and unique. Temporary means every single project has a clear beginning and a clear end. It's not supposed to go on forever. And unique means the result is something brand new, a product, a service, an outcome that's never been created in quite the same way before.
So, you might be thinking, if every project is temporary and unique, how on earth can there be a standard way to manage them? It kind of sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? Well, it turns out that while the what you're building is always different, the how you manage it follows a proven, structured playbook.
And this is that playbook. It's called the PMBOK Guide. That's PMBOK, and it stands for the Project Management Body of Knowledge. It's put together by the Project Management Institute, or PMI. Now, don't think of this as some super rigid set of rules. It's more like the collected wisdom from thousands and thousands of projects all over the world. It just gives everyone a common language for getting things done.
The PMBOK breaks down the huge job of managing a project into what it calls knowledge areas. We're going to start with the three big ones, the essential questions that every single project, no matter what, has to answer. What are we actually building? When is it going to be done? And how much is this whole thing going to cost?
First up is the what. In project management, we call this the scope. Scope management is all about drawing a really clear box around what work needs to be done to hit the project's goal. And, just as important, it's about defining what work will not be done. This is your number one defense against that monster known as scope creep. Where a project just gets bigger and bigger until it collapses under its own weight, totally blowing the budget and missing every deadline.
And the PMBOK simplifies this whole thing into a kind of three-step dance. First, you plan the scope. You draw the initial boundaries. Then, you detail the scope, breaking those big goals down into smaller, bite-sized tasks. And finally, and this is so important, you set up a process to control any changes that people ask for along the way.
All right, next up is the when. This is all about time management. See, once you know what you're doing, you have to figure out the right sequence for all those tasks, estimate how long each one is going to take, and then build a realistic schedule. Getting this part right is what keeps the whole train moving forward and makes sure you actually hit your deadlines.
And of course, we have to talk about the how much. This is cost management. It's where you plan out the budget, you estimate the cost of everything, people, materials, you name it, and then you keep a close eye on those costs throughout the project. It's all about making sure you deliver the amazing value you promised without any of those nasty financial surprises at the end.
Okay, so we've got our what, when, and how much. But let's be real. Projects aren't built by spreadsheets and charts, right? They're built by people. And that brings us to the next super important layer, managing the human element, the processes that connect everybody, and of course, the quality of the work itself. Managing the project team is so much more than just handing out tasks. It's about real leadership. It's about negotiation and crystal clear communication. It's about keeping everyone motivated when things get tough and helping them grow as a team. Honestly, a great project manager is always a great people manager. Communication really deserves its own moment in the spotlight because it is the nervous system of the entire project. A good communications plan makes sure that everyone, from your team to your stakeholders to your clients, has the information they need right when they need it. Bad communication is probably one of the fastest ways for a great project to go completely off the rails. And what about quality? I just love this definition. Quality isn't just about making sure the final product doesn't have any bugs. It's about constantly stepping back and asking, are we actually solving the problem we set out to solve in the first place? Are we meeting the original needs that kicked off this whole thing? That, right there, is the true measure of a quality project.
Okay, let's face it. No project plan, no matter how perfect it looks on paper, ever survives first contact with reality. The world is just full of surprises, some good, some bad. So a huge part of great project management is about preparing for and managing the unexpected. And this is where risk management comes into play. So first, you try to identify things that could go wrong. Then you look at them in two ways. Qualitative analysis is the gut check.
It asks, if this happens, how bad is the damage? Is it a little bump in the road or a total project killer? Then, quantitative analysis tries to put a number on it, asking, okay, what's the actual statistical probability of this happening?
Now, sometimes your project needs stuff, goods, or services from outside your own team or company. That's what we call procurement. And again, the PMBOK lays out a really clear, logical process. First, you plan exactly what you need to buy. Second, you go through a fair process to pick the best vendors. And third, you manage those contracts to make sure they deliver exactly what they promised.
Whew! Okay, we've covered scope, time, cost, people, quality, risk, procurement. That is a lot of moving parts. You can think of it like a big orchestra, with all these different sections. To make beautiful music, you can't have everyone just doing their own thing. You need a conductor making sure everyone is playing together, in sync, from the very same sheet of music.
In the world of project management, that conductor has a name: integration management. This is the master knowledge area. It's the glue that holds all the other parts together. It's what makes sure your scope plan lines up with your budget and that your risk plan is baked into your schedule. Integration is what turns a bunch of separate documents into one single, cohesive strategy for success.
And listen, this isn't just some academic theory you learn about. This entire framework is the real-world engine that powers massive, complex strategies. A perfect example from our source material is a big company's IT master plan. That's not just one project. It's a huge program of many interconnected projects, all coordinated using these exact principles to move the entire organization's technology forward.
So when you look at the big picture, this framework doesn't give you all the answers, but it gives you all the right questions to ask. It provides a structure for managing chaos and a proven process for turning a bold vision into a real, tangible thing. It empowers you to build, to create, and to get things done. So the only question left is, what project will you manage?